everyone, it's Vicki. Welcome to my channel, and yes, another garden video content. For those of you who don't garden, my apologies, but it is that time of the year. And my apologies also in doing this if I have potting media in my fingernails or leaves in my hair. I just came in from outside and thought it was getting pretty hot. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to shoot that video I've been dreaming about. In terms of dreaming about, it's going to be in no order. Just the order that they came to be. This is going to be probably one of a three-part series on items for an orchid grower, a gardener, and I'll just keep the third one a mystery because right now it's a mystery to me. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, this is going to be a video of if you have someone in your life who grows orchids. And I'm talking about a hobbyist, okay? Someone like me with, say, 100 or fewer. Okay, so maybe 125 or fewer orchids. Not someone who's got it all down and stuff. And that's a whole nother level. I'm just going to do just a normal person. And so you got this person in your life and you know they love their orchids and it's time to buy them a gift for whatever reason or for no reason, and you're just kind of perplexed. What do I get them? And often people will go to like Trader Joe's or Publix or Costco or someplace and get them an orchid, which is almost always a phalaenopsis, and occasionally it might, or Home Depot or Lowe's. Occasionally it might be something just a tiny bit more exotic, a dendrobium, but it's not likely going to be, well, unless you go with bag babies, and that's a whole nother story, and I'm leaving bag babies out of this for that reason. We'll go into bag babies another time. But if you don't know what that is, that's okay. We'll cover it another time. But anyway, what I'm saying is you're going to get them a very pedestrian orchid, which is okay. An orchid is an orchid. But if they have a lot of orchids, there's a chance that they already have that one. And that's probably something you don't want to do. I mean, you can, but yeah. If you don't know enough about their orchid collection to like maybe know something they want and to be able to go to a grower and get that for them, then I would suggest these more practical gifts. These on my list are strictly practical. Pretty much, I think any grower would be happy to have these, and they're not sexy, but they are very useful. And most of them are a price where you could buy more than one and just make a little basket for them or something. So let's just quit talking and get right to it. I did make a list that I'm going to go down so that I don't forget anything. But like I said, this isn't sexy, okay? My first one, and seriously, this is really important, and only an orchid grower, a good orchid grower would understand this. As someone who's, you know, been doing it at least 6 months, I guess. But alcohol and some sort of swab, okay? Orchid growers use this to get like scale and different things off their orchids. I think you really do need to have at least 70%. I haven't really heard that in the orchid world, but in other applications I've heard that it's 70 or 90% alcohol. If it's too much, the orchid grower can water it down if it's not what they want to put on their orchid. But they also need something, you know, you can use paper towels to wipe them down and wipe off, but they're bulkier. These work really nice. I really like these. These are just the makeup wipes. So alcohol and a wipe to go with that alcohol. They probably also make little alcohol wipes like makeup removers, but that seems wasteful if you're only doing, you know, a bit. So I like this. So these are the ones, obviously, that I'm going to show you are ones that I have used. Usually my favorite, maybe not always, but usually my favorite. All right, so the next one, and this of course is available at grocery stores, you know, pharmacies, everywhere. All right, so next one is available at Home Depot or Lowe's. I don't think it's at both, but anyway, this is a fungicide, and it also is an insecticide and a miticide. And because this is an organic one, this is not a big chemical one. The primary ingredient is neem oil, which I can't stand the smell of, but the reason I'm showing you this particular one is because it doesn't smell as bad as the others. It still smells bad to me. Some people it doesn't bother. I can't stand it. It smells like a hamburger left in a car, in a hot car, like a McDonald's burger where you get that oniony, ketchupy. Yeah. Anyway, so this will help. Like they'll spray it. They spray it on the leaves to get rid of if they have a fungus, or actually they're probably going to spray it if they have insects or mites or something. And then the fungicide they would do is just an ongoing treatment to make sure, like after a lot of rain or humidity, they might do that to just ward off a fungus on an orchid. So anyway, like it says, it's organic. It says for organic gardening. Now, there are other ones that are bigger hitters. I don't personally use them. A lot of orchid growers do, but I don't. I have dogs. We have a pool. Lots of reasons I don't. Like orthene and physam. They're out there. I just don't use them. And luckily, I don't think I need the whole military arsenal at this point. Some people do. Depends on. Mine are grown primarily in a screen porch, so they are somewhat protected. All right, I better start going a little quicker. All right, so next I wrote on here holy pots. Now that doesn't mean that they've been blessed by the Pope. That means that they have holes. They can be lots of different sizes. The holes can be big, kind of fancy, cool ones like this one. Or it can just be some slits. This one happens to be terracotta. Most orchid growers will like either terracotta, sometimes plastic, sometimes ceramic if it is not glazed on the inside. Yeah, so that's what they are. What happens is orchids like to get watered, but they also don't like their feet to stay wet. So you always, pretty much on most orchids, you let them dry out before you water them again. And this allows some air circulation to help that. Because if your orchid roots sit in water, like in dirt and water, because orchids don't grow in dirt, but we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, they don't grow in dirt. If they did, the roots would rot and the plant would die. A lot of times people think that an orchid is dying from not having enough water. When the person is watering it, in fact, they're even over-watering it, the roots have died. So the more water they're giving it, it's just wasted because it can't take it up because the root is dead. I could get into how an orchid root works, but I don't think that's what you're here for. All right, so on top of pots, there are different names for other types of orchid, I don't know what you call it, pots, I guess. There's plaques. There's like a slice of wood plaque. There's cork, which is what this is. This is just a cork piece here. And the orchid is growing right on it. See how the roots are showing? Orchids really don't need medium, the one you saw in the pot. It doesn't need to be in a pot. Gardeners just adapted to that because that's who we are. But anyway, yeah, so they can be pieces of wood. They can either be sliced wood. They can be like driftwood. They can be, just whatever you can think of. But you probably won't find a lot of these at a home store, like a big store like Lowe's or Home Depot. You will probably find some of these or the other one with the slits or even the wooden box type. I didn't bring one of those in. I'll insert a picture right here. Yeah, you'll find some at like Home Depot, but in Lowe's, but some of these you might have to order from Amazon, or if there is a nursery in your area, you might be able to find them there. But even if they have pots for all their orchids, you're always propagating or something breaks or you try to repot, because you do repot orchids. They don't stay forever in the same pot. That media breaks down that they're in. So orchids are usually like repotted every couple of years. So maybe you have to break your pot to get your orchid out. Like this one, if I ever decide, when I decide to repot this, probably might have to break the pot to get it out. It's just the cost of doing business, as they say. All right, so what's next? Okay, I don't have the item that's next, but I have a close proximity. This is a bottle of hydrogen peroxide, which is fine, but it's more convenient if you can have this in a spray bottle. And I know they make it. They also make alcohol in a spray bottle, but a lot of times the application you need, a spray bottle isn't what you need. You're not trying to cover the whole plant. What this does is when you, for an orchid grower, when they repot and they have the roots exposed, they wash them, they clean out any dead ones, and then they usually spray the roots with a mixture of hydrogen peroxide and water. I don't think they use, I don't use straight hydrogen peroxide. Maybe some people do, but that's a handy little thing to have. So this in a spray bottle and this are a nice little healthy gift to give somebody. All right, so kind of jumping ahead here. Orchid growers usually have to have stakes. They'll stake up flowers, they'll stake up new plants, that sort of thing. And so it's kind of fun if you can find a decorative stake. Now this one's really old, so it's not going to be quite as cool as it was. But it had beads and it's curly. And you can see I just pulled it right out of a plant to show you. But this was in a plant that's blooming, and you're able to just put it on there and go like this, and it'll make it go all through and hold the spike up. You know, the natural way for them to grow is to arch and bend over, but we like to look at them like this most of the time. So that's where a stake comes in handy. A stake, again, comes in handy for holding a plant upright, because any plant, whether it's a house plant, but specifically an orchid, likes to be steady in its pot. It doesn't like to move because that's ripping the roots from what it's grown to, whether it be the bark or the side or whatever. So it's just a little healthier that way. Okay. Oh, and related to this, let's go with this one next, is did you know that you can get twist tie in a spool? This is all I have left of a huge spool of twist tie. Yeah, I need to put this on my gift list. But this is very helpful in the same thing, keeping a plant steady while it's growing roots. Now, something like this is so rooted in. I could turn this upside down. This isn't going to come out. I'm not going to turn it upside down because I'm going to get orchid, decomposing orchid bark everywhere. But yeah, this is good for that. This is also good for putting labels on, because orchids come with labels on them so that you know what kind of orchid it is and what the name of it is, what the hybrid is. That's important. I know it sounds nerdy, but it's important. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't look like this. It looks more like a fishing line spool when you buy it. But yeah, very useful. I need some. All right, then there's always orchid food. Now this isn't mine of choice one. This is what was available the day that I bought it. But there's some that are just, but also I have bromeliads, so, but it really, this is a 10, 10, 17. It really doesn't matter what it says. Technically, just about any fertilizer can be used on anything, but some of them are just more targeted. There's an orchid one that's very popular called Bloom Boosters, and that's for when it's getting ready to, form blooms, I guess. Then there's the standard that what I use is just 20-20-20, but there's all different kinds. And yeah, this is a continuous feeder, so you put this there and it's supposed to work for like 9 months. I just grabbed this one as an example. Right now I can't buy the ones that I use because we have a moratorium on fertilizer use where I live from June 1st to September 1st or 30th, I'm not sure which. All right, so next I'm going to do two because they're kind of related. Snips. Now I'm not going to do regular garden snips. I'll do those in the next video with garden snips, with garden items. I'm going to do this kind where it's like a scissor, because I use it for this and for, trimming roots. I can really get in with these little things that you can't as much with the, with the regular garden snips. Yeah, I really like these. I love these. I use these a lot. So, and you can tell, I mean, look at them there. They're not made for outdoors, but that's where they live and that's what they do. I use this instead of a torch. A lot of people have the little, is it butane or propane torch? And because you sterilize things that you use between orchids, because orchids can carry disease and pick up disease, funguses and viruses. So you keep everything sterile so that you know, some people wouldn't even like having orchids like right next to each other. But if it's anyway, I won't get into that. But so you definitely want something. I just use a lighter and alcohol. I used to put alcohol in it, and then I do the lighter and just, I don't trust myself with a torch, because you're talking to someone who spilled a whole feeder of bird feed in the garage today, and then did the same thing in the kitchen, or in the screen porch, and then in the kitchen spilled a box of cereal. So I am a clumsy, spilly type person. So no telling what I would do to myself with a torch. So I use this. And then you can use alcohol, but alcohol doesn't kill everything, and fire does. So I kind of use both. I wipe stuff down with the alcohol, and then because this isn't obviously quite like a torch, but it's still a flame. Seems to me to be the same. All right. Let me get into something even back to basics again, because I kind of skirted around it, and that is the orchid mix. This is what you put in an orchid pot. Oh, here's an example of those pots with the holes that aren't big holes, like more like slits, yeah, down near the bottom. And those are called orchid pots. Anyway, this one is my favorite of all the commercial ones that you could buy like at a big box store like Lowe's and Home Depot. Even I think Costco has some in the bigger bags. I think I had a bigger bag of it once from there, maybe. Yeah, this is the one they call special orchids, and it tells what kind they're for because it lists so many. You should be pretty safe with something like this. Now there are better specialized ones. You know, orchids are just like anything else. There's designer ones and then there's regular ones, but nobody's gonna not use that. Unless they're a hydroponic, you know, they're growing them in water or Leica or something like that. Most likely they're going to find a use for this type of mix, no matter what type of orchid they get. And if they can't, they can take it back and get something else. Along with that is sphagnum moss, but you need the kind that's made for orchids. It's a different quality, a long string, and yeah, you can't just get that decorative moss, that green decorative moss. Yeah, and it just comes in a brick like this, lasts a really long time. And I bought this one because my last one was just a tiny little piece left. That's all it is, and I've had it at least a year. Yeah. Some people don't use this, or they don't use it much, but I do use it, and I don't use it. I don't grow anything just in it, but I use it when I want to make something have roots, or I have a plant that's more thirsty. I can add it to this mix. I won't go into any more detail on it, but anyway, those are two very basic items. And if you could find moss even in half this size, that would be fine. But it's not really expensive, so it doesn't matter. All right, back to this kind of sterilization stuff. When you cut an orchid, like you have a bad leaf, something's broken, you're just trimming it down, you know, you get some old leaves that are pretty yellow and it's their time. Anytime you cut an orchid, for whatever reason, when you leave that interior exposed, you need to put something on that cut so that it doesn't get a fungus while it's open and exposed. It takes like a day at least for it to harden over. So orchid growers, believe it or not, put cinnamon on cuts. Or maybe it gets broken and, you know, no fault of your own or whatever, it just gets broken. And yeah, you just put cinnamon on it. This is a really old jar, and it may look like I have cinnamon that's 25 years old, but actually I just like these jars and I just get the new ones and pour it in there. But anyway, I keep a little, tiny little Rubbermaid container. It's very small. Like, I think it's made for like condiments like mustard or mayonnaise in a lunchbox. And I just keep cinnamon in there, and you just dip your finger, put it on there, or, you know, pour some out and dip the orchid in it, whatever. But yeah, And yeah, it's part of that whole health and hygiene part of orchid growing. Next is something new to me. I mentioned before that orchid growers like to keep their tags on their orchids so they know what kind it is, what the name of it is, the hybrids of it, who the mom and dad is of the orchid. And those tags tend to wear out, or sometimes the writing goes away, or what I've been having trouble with, they crumble. So I recently found these, and I think plumbers use these to mark pipes and stuff. I know they're a pretty industrial kind of thing, but basically they are a tag that is metal. I'll show you. And my understanding, if I can get one out, come on, don't be like that. Really? I've been getting them out, no problem. This is my second box of them. I bought one box of 50, went right through it. My husband says, that'll last you a long time. I'm thinking, no, not really. Okay, so it comes with a metal tag and a little hanger, which you'll probably never be able to see, and if you drop it, you'll never be able to find it. There's 2 of them loose in my house somewhere. And you write on here with a ballpoint pen, and it just pushes down into what you're writing. Your lettering pushes down into this, because this is metal. Okay, first they put a piece of metal here. I kind of looked into it. Then they put one here, and then it folds over, and they're just smashed together. I don't know what you call it. There's probably some technical name for that, smashed together. Inside is a piece of like poster board or something. It's thin though. It's not poster board. Cardstock. It's cardstock. So, and you can almost feel that when you write on it. And you can write, I've been able to write on both sides. I guess there's probably some people that wouldn't be able to do that. They might do it a little too hard. Oh, I brought this one in to show you. This is an example of what the cards look like when you buy an orchid. This tells you where this came from, Florida Native Orchids in St. Petersburg. And they are out of business because the owner died in 2009. And I just wrote on here what the cross is. And then this is where the person who sold the orchid, actually the person didn't just sell it, he actually bred this orchid. And there's where he puts the name of it. Oh, he did write what it was on the front. How did I miss that? Oh, you know what it is? The writing was kind of going away, so I wrote it on the back. That's right. But anyway, that's what you normally get with one. So I've been on a project of replacing mine. Well, not replacing mine, because I did keep the originals that came with them. This one's like a bag baby tag here. You can tell because this is Better Grow. And like I said, we'll get into bag babies in another video. I started to do that once and I didn't. Anyway, so this tells you what it is and what it's a cross of. And like these bag baby tags last a long time. I mean, that's a big company, Better Grow. They make this. They made this. They make a lot of those wooden baskets I'm talking about that have slats. I wish I'd have brought one. But anyway, here's what the tag looks like after you do it. After you write on it. So see, it's pretty easy to read, and it's going to last a lot longer than this other tag probably. The other tag, being plastic, will last a long time. It just won't last in that form. It's going to break into tiny little pieces. So this is them. I got these off Amazon. I don't know how or why I found them, but I did. And boy, am I glad I did it. I learned about them, like I said, I don't remember how, a while ago, but I never really thought that they would work. And then more recently I said, I'm giving those a try. And I love them. We'll see how long they last. They're supposed to last a long time. I hope so, because orchids get watered almost every day. All right, so the last item, yes, we are near the end, are books. And they can go from anywhere from some little pocket guide, which actually I find this one really, really useful. Even though it's just a little pocket guide. This is not where you want every hybrid ever listed. It's not care instructions or anything. It's just like a pocket guide, like a field guide for birds or whatever. But it's for orchids. And I really like this book, and I've had it a long time. You know, I know Golden Book, people I think probably think of them as children's stuff, but I love my Golden Book bird book that I had forever. And I know, you know, anyway. But I think this was endorsed by the American Orchid Society. But I just like the illustrations in these Golden Book things for this and for orchids and for birds. I don't know, I just do. Yeah. Like some of the other ones, I think there's is it a Roger Torrey Peterson or something? Anyway, the other field guys that I wrote Popular for Birds, they take photos. A lot of them use photos. Photos are great, but I think these illustrations are just better. They're just, I don't know. They're just, you don't see the detail in the field guides that I can see in these kind of illustrations. I'm sorry, I'm distracted because I thought I saw someone moving at my neighbor's window and she's not home. But she does have cats, so. All right, so that's just a simple little one. And, you know, someone who's been doing it a long time probably already has a book that they would consider superior to this. But again, easy to, I can even travel with this one. You know, it's just so little. All right, then they have books that are more specific to a region. So like this one is Florida orchid growing. You could also probably find them on Florida native orchids. Like, this is a relative of a native of a Florida orchid. That type. Oh, and this is definitely a hybrid of Florida native orchids. Those two are related, sort of, too. Yeah. So, oh, that just reminded me of something. And this is more detailed. This tells you, like, in June do this, and July do that. Oh, here's a really good picture of, like, traditional orchid pots. But we've come a long way since then. There's lots of pretty pots, and there's potters who make substitutions for like slabs. See, while these are great and more natural, they also break down, although this one's cork, so it shouldn't break down too fast. So potters have made replicas of those, of the natural, you know, with the grains and the holes and stuff, and people grow them on that because they last, you know, a really long time unless they get broken. I haven't had as much luck with those getting orchids to stick. I don't think they hold moisture quite the same as like the cork that I use, but anyway, they're out there too. So there's all kinds of, oh, I just realized my book is signed by Martin Mote, Dr. Martin Motes. Did he write that? Yeah, he did. Anyway, I think I bought this at an orchid show, and he was probably there. He's kind of famous in the orchid world. Well, not kind of, he is famous. But anyway, what I was going to say is they have books on just orchids in general, specific places, specific types of orchids. So there's a lot to choose from. And then another type of book is you might want to get somebody a subscription. This is the June 1999, this is an old one, magazine from the American Orchid Society. And so a subscription to something like that. Now the American Orchid Society, I think they have to join to get this magazine, but you could get them a membership to an orchid society, whether it's a local one or a big one like a national one. And speaking of buying something that isn't a tangible, it's more like, you know, a membership, you could also get them tickets to, say, an orchid festival. So I didn't get to go to Tamiami. The timing's always been wrong for the big orchid shows for me. But I did go down to the Miami area to Homestead in sometime in late 2020. And I probably got this just when I purchased something, because I went to different orchid places. And I got those videos from, if you go back to 2020, you'll see I went to a lot of the big orchid houses there. And I'm sure that this was something they stuck in as a promotion. But the point, though, being that you can buy tickets to for someone. And in our area, I don't know if they're still doing it since COVID, but they used to do something where they had the orchid bus that went down, and for, I think at the time it was $65, you would get on the bus in the morning from our area in Central Florida, and you would ride down. They would drive you to Miami, and then your fee included your entrance into the show. And then later in the day, they would drive you home. And because it's a bus, an actual coach, and nobody has luggage, there's plenty of room for all the things you buy to bring back with you. And yeah, I think you met the thing at 5:30, 6 o'clock. And yeah, you met it up at 5:30 in the morning. The ETA time to leave was 6. You're not there by 6, you got left behind. And then they got you back at like 7. Miami's about a 4-hour drive, probably. So, and some of the traffic on that, not so hot. So yeah, I would love to go on it. That would have been great. So those are my items. My video obviously ran long because the camera stopped, and that's why you're cooking. The camera stopped and made me start it again. So thanks for sticking with me though. And I hope that this helps if you have an orchid loving friend, whether they have, 3 orchids or 100 orchids. I hope this helps you find something useful for them. Bye-bye.